Hey everybody, welcome to Porn Free Millennial, Episode 3, Man on the Moon, and how are you going to complete your mission? I'm your host, Mac, and thanks for tuning in. Just wanted to appreciate everybody so far that's, liked any videos, any podcasts I've put out, or articles I've written on Substack. It really means a lot. The last two podcasts, I started by saying, why I created this and decided to move forward with this was to, spread the message to guys and to women. If you've ever had that thought in your mind of, hey, porn's not really suiting me, it's not really providing any value to my life. I've tried to quit it before, and it's just been really tough to do that. I've thought about quitting before. Maybe I've quitted for a sustained amount of time, but it's really hard to keep it consistent after a while. This podcast, this video is for you. It's hopefully just to motivate and encourage you. I found, at least, through my recovery so far, that being able to talk to other people and connect with them has been really important to my recovery. It has also been important to recoveries of folks that I've, gotten to know over the years and work with and have a relationship with. It's incredibly important, I think, to be able to be vulnerable, to listen to somebody, as well as be able to speak your mind and where you're at so far in life, and maybe how porn's not really benefiting that life. It's not really adding any value. It's actually taking away and creating either pain, maybe slowing you down. So today we're going to talk about Man on the Moon. So is a really good album by one of my favorites, Kid Cudi. But actually, why I picked the title today, Man on the Moon, is actually a show I've been watching. One of my buddies turned me on to it. It's called For All Mankind. It's on Apple TV. Highly recommend. I just binged a whole season in about 2 days. Starting season 2 right now. Really enjoy the show. So really quick, the premise of it is it's basically taking time during the space race where the Americans and the Russians are basically fighting for first to see who can get on the moon first. The whole premise of the show, hopefully not a big spoiler, but the Russians are the ones that land first on the moon. So the whole the whole show is based on what would have happened if the Soviets made it on the moon first and put their flag there. What would the space race look like after that? It's been a really great show. Like, good characters, good writing, lost suspense. You never think anyone's safe. Shows a lot of different missions, and has historical characters. So if you're like a history buff, or you just like a good drama, or space, that genre is awesome. Interstellar is like one of my favorite movies. I definitely would recommend it. So that got me thinking for like a topic today, Man on the Moon. And I think what got me on my mind on that topic was, I think oftentimes, there's two different ways you can think about Man on the Moon. One way you can think about it is kind of when you are, I think, in the throes of a relapse and you just can't get out of it. And, you can't stop that urge potentially of looking at porn or, something of that nature, and I think oftentimes it's very isolating, in some of these scenes, you really go into the depths of loneliness and isolation for a character. And it's really tough to see, on screen, because those are feelings that I've gone through, that I know are real. When kind of seems like you're out on an island, you're out on the moon, you're kind of looking at the earth from the moon, and it's a lonely place. So that's one way you can think about Man on the Moon. I'm going to kind of talk about it in a different way today. The way I'm going to talk about it is, I think, to me, quitting porn is not easy. It's incredibly difficult. Sometimes it seems like it's something that's, almost like unreachable. It's almost like, how people thought of sending somebody to the moon, maybe back before, it was even like a concept to build a rocket and, to put somebody in it and send them up there. It seemed like it was an impossible thing, right? But, with advancements of technology, kind of, I guess, a little bit of that political push, to see who can kind of conquer the moon first, develops this mission to, put somebody on the moon. And I'd say it's like a pretty daring mission. It's one that is very bold. Not a lot of countries, have put somebody on the moon, fictional or non-fictional. It's typically kind of a battle between the United States and the Soviet Union. Why I bring that up is I just think that I think oftentimes, like when we talk about, porn to somebody, or, the thought of quitting it, oftentimes it's one of those things to where, everyone kind of talks about it like, oh yeah, like I wish, growing up, I wish I could go to the moon, or I wish I was an astronaut, but it didn't happen. That's sometimes how it feels like, with porn, is that it's one of those things that almost is seen on the table, like, why even try? Why even try to do this? It's so difficult. I only know a few people are completely porn free, and that could be things like that you've been telling yourself. Kind of lies that we tell ourselves is that something's not achievable. But it is. It definitely is achievable to be porn free and to live a lifestyle where that's not really involved in your life. It's not really necessary. So through today's talk, I'm going to share 3 things that I'm going to focus on to complete my mission to be that man on the moon, to get on that moon, and, to start building, build a base there, build foundations on that moon. And the moon really, I think, signifies like it's a new way of life. It's a way of life that's free from porn and free from that addiction and what it brings with it. So that's what we're going to jump into today. So these 3 things are like, I would say, like key concepts, key like principles that, you would have in your mission. So, hey, if we stick to these 3 things, we're going to be able to complete our mission. These are like fundamental foundations. So the first one that I wanted to mention, and these all start with a C. The first one that I would mention is connection. So connection, I guess when you think about, the people that got to the moon, and I'm going to kind of talk about more just like the concept of getting to the moon. I guess we could talk about historically, but either way, the show, not the show, right? These astronauts, they become a team. It's typically like 3 of them, at least, in this show, and maybe in real life as well, when they first sent people up there. But I think with such a difficult mission, you can't just do it alone. You need to have people on your side. You need to have connection with other people. And I think the connection, when we think about like the space race and astronauts, it's, they're a team. And it's not just like the 3 people that, are in the rocket ship, but it's also like mission control. There's so many aspects that go into it, right? And I feel like in our recovery, we have to loop others in. We have to loop others in with a like mind, maybe a like goal, right? And, perhaps it's not quitting porn, but it's something similar to, maybe it's something in their life to where it's been like a hindrance to them. It's been a place that they've gone for comfort. They've gone for, that sense of not being alone, the sense of, having value, the sense of having power. All things that, are important, that are needs, but maybe, it's not the right place to go. It's not the right path to follow. It's not the right mission, to go down to bring the right results. It might seem like, hey, this is a quick mission to get that, to get that dopamine rush, to get that hit, to feel like that feeling of like, I'm alive, I'm valued, I'm not being judged here. It could seem like that mission's a good mission and that it's maybe a little easier, but we find that that mission really, it's short-lived, actually brings with it a lot of collateral damage. So you want to find people that, want to go on the right mission. And, at least in my opinion, I think the right mission is living a porn-free life and, living a life free of having like shame and guilt, a life free of, having that negative place to go to fulfill some need, where we're fixated on people as sexual objects instead of actually connecting with people as people and seeing them for, other humans, mankind itself, right? So the first aspect, again, it's connection, and I feel like going through, at least sharing from my experience, one way that I could provide an example of connection is I connect with, two people I know pretty well every day. One I do normally like in the afternoon time. One I talk to, later. I'd say probably in the evening time. We have a set time, and we basically just send each other a voice memo to check in with each other, to see how we're doing with our recovery. Maybe things that we're doing really well at, things that we're struggling with, maybe threats that are coming up that could threaten our sobriety. We do that every day. That's been going on for a couple months now. Every other week too, I have my coach that's been helping me, get on the right path with recovery, and we meet every other week. So right there's connection. It's built into where I'm connected with other guys, that are wanting to walk the same path, struggling the same struggle, want something more out of life. And I think like if you're going to go towards this mission, you need to find like-minded people. You need to find like a mentor. You need to find someone that's around the same level as you. You might even want to find somebody that you can help eventually, once you get some experience in your belt. And all that stuff just keeps you very close to your recovery and aware of where you're at. So I'd say connection is incredibly important. What that means to you, it could be something different. But I'd say like when you're connected with people and you're actually connected and you're with people that have the same mindset, and it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't have to be, hey, I'm quitting porn. It could be something else that they're striving for, that, they're replacing something that's negative with something that's positive, and to bring them, that satisfaction, to bring them that sense of value, but in a way more sustainable way. So number one, focus, to start with, is connection. So we'll move on to number two. Number two is clarity. So when you think of somebody that's in, like a spaceship, right? You have to have incredible clarity in being in the moment, because, at least what we've seen in real life and, in the show that I'm watching, I mean, stuff doesn't always go right. Stuff doesn't always go the way that you planned it to go. And you have to be clear in your mind to be able to act the right way in that situation. If you're in space, it could be fixing something that could be causing a problem for the ship. Thinking on your feet. A lot of that's just crazy. You watch this and, in real life too, that these people are like in outer space and they're just like doing MacGyver stuff. Most of these aircrafts too, like once they get on the moon, are like, it's like paper thin exterior. Like if something, cracked that, they'd be gone. So you have to be able to think on your feet. You have to be, in order to do that, you have to be in the moment. You have to have clarity. So I'd say like in recovery, I think like clarity, it's being in the moment. I think it's really tough, especially like when you're dealing with something like an addiction, or just a bad habit that's been with you for a while, however you want to define it, or however it has been defined. Being in the moment's incredibly tough. You're often either looking forward to maybe the next relapse, or, the next time you can kind of get away to that. You might be thinking back and having a little bit of shame or guilt about, maybe past times that you've looked at porn, and just maybe thinking about, hey, like here are all the negative things that have come, trailing that. And oftentimes that just takes you away from the actual moment that you're in. And that's what makes the recovery so hard, is when you're thinking about the future and the past, you're not thinking about like what you can do present day to change your trajectory. Like the astronaut, hurling through space, maybe they're knocked off their path to get to the moon. They've got to think on their feet in the present to say, hey, things didn't quite work out the way that they should have, but we still have an opportunity to get back on track. What are we going to do now, today, with a clear mind to move forward and to put one step in front of the other, the right direction, instead of, heading down the wrong direction towards the wrong mission? So number two would be clarity. Now I'd say like examples of that for me, just, kind of going off, that first example, I think it's just kind of more the way I feel, I suppose. I was talking to my coach the other day about it, and just kind of felt like when I was really kind of younger and just kind of seemed like everything was out of control with porn usage and all that. Just kind of felt like I remember some times in my childhood where I would just be kind of absent. I'd be late to dinner, almost maybe late to like a sports game that I was playing in because, I was so like enamored with this. I think it really took me away maybe from remembering some key moments. Being in that moment, I think when you're in a moment, you're present, your memory is going to be a lot better of it, and it's going to be like a positive memory. Or even if it's something that's negative, at least if you're clear-minded in the situation, you can potentially remember or recognize, respect maybe the gravity of the situation, and maybe how important that is. I think having that clear mind, and it just lends itself to being sober from porn. I think when you do have a clear mind, you have a better way to make the right decision. You have the awareness that you can tell yourself, hey, I actually can make a decision. I can make a decision to say no and to fill, this need with something else, something that's positive, right? So if you wanted another example, maybe that's not from me, but if we're going to use the space example, it'd be like, just think if, instead of paying attention to the controls, you've got the captain of the ship watching porn, and they might not be on their game when they need to be. At any moment, things can happen in life. And I think just when I think about the clarity for me, you have to have a clear mind going into this. And, in order for your mission to be successful, just see things as they come in, be aware of your feelings, be aware of, if there's a certain habit that you have, noticing maybe if it's a time of day or the way you feel when you relapse, having a clear mind can really break through, some of that, maybe the mental hurdles of, thinking that you can't get to the moon. Because, I think once you get stuff down, and you're clear about it, it's almost like an equation, just like probably what scientists use to get us up there is saying, hey, if I'm clear about this and I'm thinking about this right, and this checks out logically, why can't we get to the moon? So that's number 2 to think about is clarity. So the last one is confidence. Clearly, these heroes, these people that, stepped where no others have stepped before, they've had to have some kind of level of confidence about them, some level of saying, hey, I'm the best of the best. I'm the person that's going to be on the moon. And sorry, my dog's getting some water. If you're hearing some background noise there, very thirsty, kind of like a camel. I think for confidence, I think it comes from knowing that you're doing something that's difficult. And each step you take towards that, I think, is a victory. So I was thinking about it. I think every day that I'm porn free, it's a monumental victory. It's huge. It's big. You think about how difficult it is, how many people that may not even think it's a problem. They might not see the negative aspects of it. You being here, you listening, I mean, that's huge. That's acknowledging, hey, this isn't really benefiting me. This in my life, it's not a positive thing. It's not bringing me value. That's a huge step. That's a huge win. And I think the next part of that is it's almost like completing like a daily mission. That's how I look at it is I'm going to the moon every day. I'm getting there because, I know it's something in my life that I need. I need to complete this mission. I need to complete it to live the life that I want to live. Live a life free of porn means to me, there's so many benefits. There's so much that can come out of it. Just like going to the moon, it just pushes you forward. Your trajectory, it's like sky's the limit. It pushes the boundaries, I think, of what you can do as a person. Because if you're like me, maybe someone that struggled with this for a really long time, it's almost like it's like one path of life that you're living. And, once you live free of it, like I have in the past. Not for any time probably over than 2 years, but when you get in that lifestyle, it is like pushing the boundaries. It is like, hey, getting on the moon and saying, okay, like, what are we doing next? We put a flag there. Well, are we going to build a base there? Are we going to get resources from it? And you find out that it just takes you to a different place, a positive place, a place of hope. I think a place where you're looking into the stars and saying, what can I do next? That's what it means. And I think when you accomplish that mission, in a day, look back on that. Be proud of that. Be proud of that. It's not something a lot of people do. I could be wrong, but just from my instincts and just what I know and what I know about this world, at least from my experience, is it seems like it's an issue that maybe not a lot of people are really taking seriously, or maybe shrugging off as, hey, this isn't that important. No one really cares. Everyone does it, that kind of thing. But if you're here, you're listening, I think you really do see this as a mission, that's worth fighting for. A mission that is, I would say grounded in integrity, grounded in truth, grounded in actually living. So, confidence, right? And I think every day you complete that mission, that daily mission, just keep building that confidence. It's definitely like kind of snowball effect. Every day you get more and more confident. You get more and more proud of what you're doing and the mission that you're chasing after, right? So that was number 3, confidence. And so hopefully, those 3 things that I shared today, think about maybe like what are 3 things that you'd like to lean into to complete your mission. Maybe your mission could be something maybe a little bit different from me. I know people will have different viewpoints about this topic and about, what is and what isn't, morally just, and maybe, what is for somebody, something that they can control, maybe someone else can't control. And I think just what I'd say to that is, narrow in on your mission. My mission is to live porn free. That's my mission. And I think that mission, it comes from a place of, for me, I think my trajectory in life is just much better without it. I think the industry itself, there's a lot of negative things that, hopefully, I can touch on in future podcasts, but I think the whole industry itself, there's a lot of things you can look at there that would also, I think, to an average person looking at that would say, wow, I don't really want to support that industry. So, that's my mission. And my mission as well is to, spread the word. So, if you like this podcast, you like this video, please subscribe, share. I do write more often on my Substack. I'm trying to do these videos and these podcasts at least once a week, but my Substack, it's one of my big passions is writing. So I'm typically sending out like weekly tips. Normally I'm doing that around like beginning of the week. And then I'm normally doing like a little bit of a longer article, at least once a week as well. And so to get updates on that, just go to my Substack, Porn Free Millennial. Enter your email in to subscribe. And then you can also subscribe to Spotify, to Apple Podcasts, TikTok. For some reason, YouTube's been really wacky getting my videos uploaded. So, hopefully I can figure that out. But I've had no problems really posting to TikTok. So I'll continue to work on, getting things up to YouTube. That'd be nice. But for video content, I think TikTok is great. And then Substack, you can listen to the podcast here. You can read my articles, and then we got Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So everybody, hope you had a really good Memorial Day weekend if you're in the U.S. If you're not in the U.S., I hope you had a good weekend. And everyone have a great week coming up. And I'm sorry, I just, I don't know why I said that. I was just on PTO for 2 days. Tuesday and Wednesday. So tomorrow's actually Thursday. So I hope everyone has a good rest of your week and a good weekend coming up. Keep fighting the good fight. Thanks everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.